Good morning. I tried to go live yesterday, but I was on the wrong side of the house, too far away from the Wi-Fi sending unit. I want to speak briefly about worldview and why it matters. The whole internet, literally the whole world, is blowing up related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's overtaken virtually the entire internet and all social media platforms. We've seen people getting fired. We've seen people talking about what a great crusader he was. He's almost a Christ figure. And then there's people on the other extreme saying he was Hitler embodied and only delivered hate speech everywhere he went and was manipulating the young, impressionable masses. So I'm going to step back away from that and go way, way, way back to first things and worldview, and how do you develop a philosophy of life? Is there a way to be even remotely convinced about some basis for reality and how to live your life, how to make choices? Hopefully this cat doesn't come around the corner and step on my keyboard. So everything starts with first things. And first things simply are, how did we get here? Is there a creator, or is this all just one big random accident? Did the world create itself? How do we have matter and an earth, and how do we now at this stage in history have people, peacocks, and peach trees is one of my little refrains I like to use. And when you really boil that down and sift that down, what you have to decide, and in both cases, these are faith decisions, and we could dialogue about that more, but you have to decide, is there an intelligent designer or is there not? Is this all just random chance, or is there some higher being that created this? And that is first things, that is the first and foundational decision that everyone has to make at some level by faith, and from there you move on to other things. And fundamentally, the outgrowth of those two choices establish everything else in your life. If it's all just random, then nothing matters. There is no basis for truth. I'm getting warned that my connection might not be great. This is the first time going live on my laptop. Hopefully this is still working. Is there a basis for truth and morality, or is there not? Is there any moral framework where we're called to live our life by, or is there not? Does my life matter individually, or does it not? Does your life matter individually or not? And from that place, everything else follows. Now, how do you step out from there? Well, at some point in developing a philosophy of life, everyone makes a choice, a faith choice, and so that involves, if you choose to believe in a creator or an intelligent designer, it involves some sort of supernatural subjectivity, which means that I, by faith, believe that something beyond just mechanical happened. There was some being that had the power and the authority to create this thing, and everything else followed. And you can take this and live your life based on it, and you can move from hopelessness to hope. There's a reason why Western civilization expanded in the earth, became dominant in the earth, and why America was founded. And all of these things are there. They have to be held in tension. There's paradox, but it all matters. Our lives matter. Your life matters. And this is what happens if you go the other way. because we all are designed, I would submit, to worship something. We're designed to pursue and emulate and admire something. And that, in my worldview, is God, who manifested himself in Jesus. And I believe the scriptures, the Bible, the 66 books of the Old and New Testaments, the Old and New Covenants, and there's a whole lifetime of study in there. But there's also just the simplicity of the gospel. Jesus came to save us. But if you don't go that way, and you decide it's all random, and your faith position is science, and time is your God, that these miracles, Peachtree, peacocks, and people, we all just happened because there was a lucky lightning strike in a mud puddle millions and millions and millions of years ago, and time, who is your God in that scenario, miraculously made all these things happen and evolve. That's a faith position, and I refuse to yield that point. And this is how we get to people posting on social media, Charlie Kirk was Hitler personified, and he deserved to die. Because at the end of the day, there is no moral authority outside of me, and I become God. I become the standard for right and wrong. I become where the buck stops. And so when I say these things, I'm right because I just know it. And that's where we're at right now. There's a crisis and a confrontation, and I would submit a divine confrontation. We're all being given a choice. We're all being challenged to slow down and think. What are we basing our lives on? What are the guiding principles and the moral framework that we're building our lives on? And where do those things lead? All right, the kitty cat, I think, has decided it's time to end this because the tail keeps ending up in front of the camera. All right, kitty cat, say goodbye to everybody. Bye-bye.